Okay, so we're going to go over nutrition and accountability. Okay, so first things first, I like to make sure that everybody understands what really creates results. And there's a big misconception on what really does that, right? And most people still putting several hours into the gym thinking that fitness is going to create it, but in reality, this here is what creates 90% of your results. Okay, now one of the common denominators amongst all of our success clients, the hundreds that we've had over the years, is that they all understand this methodology here. Okay, 90% of your results will come from nutrition and accountability, not just nutrition. Okay, and I'll explain more of that in a few minutes. So, sorry about that. So we're gonna go through this. Now here on the left, I basically wrote out some different meal plans that you'll commonly see online, on the internet, what your friends have told you, different gym goers will tell you, keto, paleo, Atkins, you have bodybuilding prep diets, vegan, vegetarian, the South Beach diet, and there's so many more. Now, we wanna ask ourselves, what do all these diets have in common, right? Now, what these have in common is that they all work. They all work perfectly fine. Right? Now, the main thing is that we have to look at is that why are people gaining all their weight back when doing this? Right? Or why can't people stick to it? And there's one main reason for it. So you've probably done one of these diets, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them, right? Because there are a select, very few amount of people that can jump onto one of these and just do it for a lifetime and they're perfectly fine. But the reality is that 90% of people can't necessarily do these types, right? Because they're not sustainable with their lifestyle. So there's something called yo-yo dieting, right? And what is this? So this is you start paleo, keto, you start losing weight, right? And then life happens, you have a family member pass away, or you get fired from your job, or something happens, and then you gain all the weight back, right? And then you're back to square one, and then you try something else, you go for a vegan diet, and then you lose all this weight, right? Then something else happens, right? Or let's say nothing happens, you're just like, man, I'm just tired of this diet, I want to eat carbs, and I just can't do it, and you give up, and then you gain the weight. So this cycle repeats, and you're just yo-yoing through your diet. Now, why does that necessarily happen? Well, the main thing is because, oops, sorry, take this out here. This is the main reason why, because a lot of times these are unsustainable. They don't complement your particular lifestyle, and they're not meant for some people to be doing long term. Okay, so again, these are for certain people, but they're not necessarily for everyone. Okay, they do complement certain individuals' lifestyles and whatnot, but again, we want to find something that's specifically for you. Okay, this is why you'll have some people who will say, yeah, I did personal training and I did a bodybuilding diet and I got tons of results, but something happened, right? So like something happened in their life and they gained it all back, or they did this boot camp, and they lost weight, but then again they gained it all back, right? So the fact is that a true sustainable diet, even in the worst of times, you'll still stick to it because it's that easy. Okay, so, oops, sorry about that. So, a sustainable diet plan. Okay, now, what will a sustainable diet plan allow you to do? Eat while on vacation, for example. Let's say you're traveling and you're going to be with the family, or let's say you're even just traveling for work. Obviously, you won't be able to cook or buy meal preps, right? So, a sustainable diet will still allow you to eat while on vacation and not necessarily eat healthy, but you could still eat out at restaurants. You could still eat at the airport. You could still eat at your hotel. There's several things you can still do, right? So, the other thing it'll allow you to do, have dinner and drinks on date night. Right? So when you go on date night with your spouse, you don't want to be worrying about, oh my God, I need to get this salad and I need to make sure my macros fit and whatnot. You don't want to be worrying about that. You want to enjoy the moment. Enjoy the moment with your loved one and still have drinks, have dinner, enjoy your time and not have to worry about sabotaging your results. Okay? You want to be able to attend family gatherings. Right? Attend family gatherings. Have that drink, right? Watch the game, have barbecue, have that burger, have that hot dog. And all of that is still very much possible. Okay? And of course, if you have social events to attend, don't feel guilty about having a drink, right? Having some of the finger foods. So this is just a brief overview of what a sustainable diet, what it will allow, right? So if you're losing weight, right, and life happens to you or something happens, well, you're gonna know exactly what to do, even if you're attending social events, even if you're attending family gatherings, right? It's gonna be that easy, and that's what it will allow, okay? How do we create a sustainable diet? And excuse my handwriting, guys. I know it's pretty bad. So how do we create a sustainable diet? Okay, this is why you will never find a sustainable diet on the internet, on a book, or nothing like that, because there are variables that need to be taken into account. We need to know basic medical history, right? Now, I just say basic medical history because, for example, if you're diabetic, obviously there's certain things that you should not be eating, and that's just for your own health, right? If your triglycerides are very high, clearly there are certain foods that you want to, stay away from to avoid that heart attack. So, basic medical history, right? Maybe even knowing what your food allergies, your current lifestyle. Very important here, okay? We need to know your current lifestyle because this is huge because we need to know, I need to know, do you like to cook? Do you not like to cook? Right? How much time do you have throughout the day? Right? Are you very active? Are you not very active? What are some habits that you have that you've been doing for so many years? Maybe you've been drinking Coke for so many years, right? So we need to know that because I'll give you an example. If you've been drinking Coke for 10 years straight and you drink a 3 liter every day, I can't just have you eliminate the 3 liter Coke just like that. Oops, sorry about that, I'm one of my timers. I can't have you just omit that completely. We need to wean off of it slowly. So that's an example of like just different lifestyle things that I need to know. Your work type or occupation. Now this, simply because, this is a big factor because let's say you're a stay-at-home mom, right? You may have more flexibility than the physician who's working 20 hours a day or the business owner who is always stressed out and has no time to cook. So your work type and occupation has a big factor into it. I need to know, is the majority of your days eating out? And if it is, that's perfectly fine. Do you have time outside of work to meal prep or to cook? How much stress do you go through at work? right? What can we have at the office? So this is huge because a lot of times some people don't have time to eat throughout the day, and that's perfectly fine. You do not need to be eating every 2 to 3 hours. Another one would be, do you know how to cook? Maybe you don't know how to cook, and if you don't, that's perfectly fine. Again, maybe you don't have time to cook. Maybe you prefer takeout. Maybe you prefer eating out, and that's perfectly fine. So I would like to know, do you like to cook at home or do you prefer takeout? So these are just some of the variables that need to be taken into account of how to create something that is sustainable. Okay, now, as long as you understand that, and this is what the long-term goal is. The long-term goal in with all of this, right? Oops. Teach you how to eat whatever you want any day you want. Teach you how to eat what you want any day, okay? We want to teach you how much leeway does your body specifically has to consume specific types of foods. Teach you your body's limits. We all have different limits. This is why it's not the same for everybody. You may be a D1 college football player. Your limits are going to be very different versus the person who's sitting behind a desk 8 hours a day. All right, and we're going to learn all of this from you because there's so much information we need. We're going to teach you the tactics of offsetting a weekend of bad eating. There's a reason why, for me, I can go out on a weekend on a date night with my wife. We could go have drinks, have dinner off a big steak, mashed potatoes, mac and cheese. And why will I always maintain my physique? Because I know specific tactics, specific strategies on how to offset that. And that's one crucial thing that you need to know. Okay? The other one's going to be teach you the habits. Teach you the habits needed to maintain your weight or even to continue dropping weight. There are specific habits that we specialize in teaching you so that you can keep this long term, because your habits is the cancer, right? Just this analogy in your body that's going to continue keeping you where your weight is at currently. If we don't fix the habit, you will always stay where you're at. Okay, these are habits that have been, instilled in you as a child, and you carry that on to adulthood, and now you just have really bad habits and you have no direction of how to fix those. Okay, we're gonna cure this right here. We're gonna cure that and change those habits. And how are we gonna change them? Through repetitive reinforcement. Okay, and we have a whole system in place of how that's gonna happen. After you learn the habits, we're going to teach you how to maintain it long term, so that this problem will be solved once and for all and you'll never have to worry about it. Okay? So this goes in part with the nutrition, as far as how we would go about it, what the goal is, what are the variables needed to create a sustainable diet, and why these meal plans only work for certain people and not for all. And if you're one who's fallen victim to yo-yo dieting, now you know why. Okay, just simply because that it was unsustainable for your particular lifestyle.